Hi, I'm Brian Wampler, and I'd like to show you the Tumnus Deluxe. No, that's not it. So as I said a few weeks ago rather, in the 12 things I did with 12 things, or whatever that video was, we'll link it in the description below. But one of the things I had mentioned was that we've been doing videos since I think 2007 or something like that. And I've seen a couple comments pop up recently, people asking just exactly what our process is with making a video, what equipment we're using, what mics, etc., etc. So I thought, since we got to do 3 videos a week now, thanks to YouTube and their messy algorithms, then I think that this could be a good video, or at least a video. Hopefully a decent video. No, in all seriousness, hopefully it's something that you guys want to see. So I will show you some of my camera gear, which isn't that extensive. It's pretty basic. My recording gear, again, I'm a pretty basic guy, so it's nothing too crazy. And yeah, let's jump into the very first thing. The very first thing I am using is this overhead mic. That mic is called a boom mic, or a shotgun mic. And it's pointed right at me, kind of towards the floor. That way, it's not like you don't get a lot of sound bouncing off a wall. If I was using the microphone on top of the camera, then it'd be a little more echoey because you'd get some more some reflections, sound reflections, if you will. And with it pointed down like that, it's not as much. Seems to be a little bit quieter. So that's one of the things we do. I've got 3 lights. I've got one there, one there, one there that's kind of backlighting things. It's just a consistent white light that makes me look more balder than what I like to see, but that's the way it goes. And my cameras are Canon 70Ds, I'll show you. A Canon 70D. You use 2 of these mugs. Why not the 80D? I don't know. I said ADD, not ADD. That's a whole different topic. 70Ds seem to work fine for me, except they don't have 4K, which stinks on ice. But seems like the color grading is pretty decent-ish. Pretty decent. So I like that. I don't like to do a whole lot of color grading because we're not making a full-blown movie here. If I look a little red, sometimes that happens, especially after I drink a gigantic amount of coffee, which is about 8 times a day. So sometimes I have to mess with the colors a little bit. Just a little bit. The camera that we use on the downward shots for the pedals is this ugly mug. A Vixia I'm getting old. HFG30. So that's it. The reason why I use it is because it's I can throw it down a flight of stairs and it'd still work. It'll run for like an hour and a half at a time. The shot's decent enough-ish for a camera shot, or sorry, for a pedal shot that I don't have to worry a whole bunch with the focusing. And actually the focusing is really, really decent on this thing. Again, I don't think this does 4K either because this is several years old, but it seems to work. My plan is to actually upgrade the pedal camera. I'm going to upgrade that. I may upgrade these 70Ds to something else at some point. I thought about getting a Sony. I like them, it's just expensive. You got to change all the different lenses, all that sort of thing, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So for what we do, for the YouTube stuff, for the Facebook videos, etc., I like to say etc. apparently a lot. Seems like the 70Ds work good. Let's go on to the microphones. Alright, so microphone-wise, it really depends on what I'm doing. I use a ton of different mics, just depending on the cabinet I'm using, the amp I'm using, the sound I'm trying to achieve. All that stuff kind of adds up. Sometimes you throw like one of these little E609s on it, and it just sounds kind of bland and flat and lifeless, and you know, it's not inspiring at all. Not a big fan of the 609s or the 906s for the most part. Unless you're like playing live or something, that's not really a big deal. But for something like a YouTube video, when you really want to capture the sound of the amplifier inside the room that you're sitting in, the biggest thing I've found to do is a different combination of ribbon mics and maybe a 57 or a 58 even. I know that's generally a mic you want to cup and sing into, spit out some dope rhymes. But sometimes it sounds just fine on guitar amps, depending on where you put it on the speaker and all that good stuff. So this ribbon is, I think it's basically supposed to be a Royer. Not exactly like it, but it's close enough for a YouTube video. It's an MXL 860. It's a ribbon mic. This one was actually recommended by, what is his name? One of my friends on Instagram, one of the guys that follows us, and Snapchat. It's a MXL R80 ribbon mic. That's a decent little ribbon mic. These are all just a couple $100 too. Not very expensive at all. MXL ribbon mic, MXL R144. That's a decent one as well. I also have a condenser that's an MXL. I don't even know what this is. It's old. I've had this for a while. Some sort of condenser microphone. I sometimes use this on podcasts. Generally for podcasts though, I've been using the trusty 58. That's just it's a little easier. The condenser, it seems like if you move, when you're moving around, it's more, you don't have to compress things as much and move levels, where this is a lot more directional, so that's a trade-off. The bad part is, I've noticed with the condenser, you can hear a lot of like breathing and swallowing and stuff that you generally don't want to hear. So you tend to have to edit like crazy with something like that. So not the best thing to use. I mean, it sounds great. It's just a pain in the butt in editing. And we do so much content, I can't spend an entire day editing something. So that's the basic microphones. And what else? There are all kinds of amps here. All kinds. And then I have a room right on the other side of this wall is a double-walled room, double ceiling. So it's basically a room within a room. And I have a little section, like XLR input into the wall that goes into that room. So that way I can actually just run a microphone cable to my DAW, and then microphone cable to the whatever amp I have in that room, and I can completely crank up 100-watt plexi or whatever, and you can barely hear it in here. You can just sort of hear a little bit of the bottom end. So it's pretty good for that. I thought when you see the crank stuff I'm doing on the different YouTube videos, I'm not a big fan of having a cranked amp in the room. I really don't like that at all, for obvious reasons. So the cranked amp stuff, I won't have that amp in the room. I'll use the isolated room for that. Other things, if I'm just have a bedroom playing level rather, then I'll just mic it up in here. It's easier than moving amps back and forth. And plus, whenever I'm setting up mics, I'm spending a gigantic amount of time like finding the exact sweet spots for mic number one. I like to use 2 or 3 mics too, sometimes 4. And so then you have another mic that you're trying to put in. You want to make sure they're about the same distance away, that there's no phasing issues. I did a video on this too about miking, using, what was it called? Dual mics on amps, or miking amplifiers with 2 microphones, something like that. I don't know. It's on there somewhere. Other times I will run into my trusty Captor from Torpedo. I will actually run that, so the way that is an attenuator of sorts, so I can take the amplifier, the signal from the speaker, right? So instead of plugging into the speaker, I plug it into the Captor. I like to call it Captor, I don't know, because I'm an idiot. But anyways, I plug it into the Captor, and then I take the Captor into the speaker cabinet, so even on a combo, it just still works the same. But then I get that sound of the amp from that transformer. I can run that into my DAW, and then use impulse responses to my heart's content, which I'm a gigantic fan of. Why am I a gigantic fan of it? So you gotta watch this video. It's a Pete Thorne video about him. I think he created his own impulse response of his amp. So he did a before sound with him playing through his amp, and then the same thing ran through the impulse response, and it was damn near identical. Just stupid close. So if with a good impulse response, and I've said this about 1,000 times so far, with a good impulse response or a set of impulse responses, then you get an amazing mic'd sound. Now there are crappy ones, there are fantastic ones. Today I'm using, not today, but these days I've been really hitting hard on the Celestion stuff. They have some fantastic ones that include room mics and back mics for the back of the cab and all kinds of cabinets and every speaker they have. Fantastic stuff. And in case you haven't seen any of my videos before, the impulse response is basically the sound of the mic speaker without any coloration, just the coloration from the speaker. So what you will do is you could take, let's say this orange. You could take this orange, run that into an impulse, into my DAW, and if you don't have an impulse response, it'll just sound really bright and shrill because there's no speaker there. Once you add that impulse response, it's the sound of you going through whatever speaker cabinet and speaker that your impulse response was patterned after. So it's not really like an EQ at all. It's actually a digital representation of that mic cabinet at that point in time. So very cool stuff. I love that sort of thing. Let's go out to the other room and I'll show you what that room looks like real quick. All right, let's go take a look. Now, you guys cannot make fun of... you can't make fun of my barn, okay? It's trashed. I know. And I got a tractor in the middle of it because it's been snowing like 4,000 inches. All the kids' bikes, all kinds of crap basically, into the room, which is just the other side. One door, about I don't know, 1.5 inch airspace into where the cabinets are. So there's not much room in this room. This is the isolated amp room. So I've got line 6 up there, but that's just sitting there hanging out, getting out of the way. So there's a Marshal Cab. This is, I don't remember what video I did using that one, but it's just basically a big closet that's really well insulated. And of course, there's where the speakers come in. So I can connect directly to the guitar input or the speaker itself, so I can run a head from the other room and then run that into a cabinet in here. And there's my speaker, or microphone connections. So that's about it for this room. All right, so we close that door and we head back the way we came. See that whole rack? I know there's a bunch of junk there, I understand. That's all full of speakers. Isn't that crazy? Look at a gigantic amount of speakers. And here we go back into the main room. Alright, so now you are staring at my DAW, more than likely, which is Logic Pro X, or 10, as I like to call it. I don't know why, I just like to call it that. But Logic Pro X. So I had, in this particular session, this is my SD1 versus TS9 video I did a couple weeks ago. And what I have here is a front ribbon. So these are all impulse responses. I have it loaded here. So this is the front ribbon right here. This would be a back microphone. And this is a room microphone. So these are all impulse responses of Celestion impulse responses, from Celestion rather. On this particular video for the SD1, I also did a second additional impulse response on the front ribbon and added a spring tank impulse response. Yes. You can actually do reverbs as well with impulse responses, so they're pretty fantastic. I don't know if I've really made that clear yet or not. They're pretty fantastic. So this is the SD1 video. Well, or at least part of the sound of it. That's how I did it. If I'm actually micing something, like let's say I did a Tumnus Deluxe video or something like that, that wasn't extremely critical on having the sound exactly right. Here's a little trick for you. Sometimes you can actually add a little bit of room mic to it as well. Correct the phase. I say room mic, room impulse response. Correct the phase if you need to a little bit so it doesn't get a little phasey. And adds a little bit of dimension. Just not really like the sound, just adds a little bit of liveliness to it. You just barely want it etched up just a little bit. And it's good fun stuff. Very fun to mess around with. The thing you can do is just add, if you don't really want to mess with impulse responses, just add a little touch of like short roomish type of reverb. That helps with it a little bit too, not just the spring tank on an amp if you're playing a video with an amp that has spring reverb. So that's good, clean fun to do. And that's all I got. What else? I can't, Bob, can you think of anything else? I can't think of anything else I do. It's not sorcery or trickery. I don't know. There's nothing else that I do. It's just that. I sit right there. I play stuff, I hit stop, I come over here to the computer, hit stop, and then we edit it. Usually it's Bob, the video guy, in case you weren't aware. If you watch the old Chasing Tone videos, you might have heard us refer to Bojo or Bob the video guy. So he's also the one that does some of the ad-lib, not ad-lib, he does some of the voices on comments, not the crazy comments. Those are all me. All the, got that one thing right there, man. Yeah, that's all me. The regular comments that sound like someone who has some sanity to them, that's generally Bob. All right then, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you liked it. Hope you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you like the videos. I mean, don't subscribe if you hate the videos, and that's silly. You wouldn't want to do that. That doesn't make any sense. But if you do like the videos, subscribe. Maybe share it. You know what? Share some stuff. Why don't you guys share anything on Reddit? I see you sharing on Facebook and the Twittergram and the Insta pages and all that stuff, but I don't see anything on Reddit. I don't think you guys like me on Reddit. Maybe you're just not I'm not interesting enough for Reddit. Is it my hairline? Is it my age? Is it my lack of jaw structure? I don't know. So anyways, hope you guys liked the video. And we'll see you in a couple more days with a new video. So see you all later. Bye.